Uh, Hello, my name is Jason. I'm calling from Virginia in the USA.
Yeah, Robot. Greetings.
Yes. So I had about two. My first question is, um, what is the relationship that we should have with the Anunnaki? Um, from the beginning, from what has been told to us, you know, they kind of made us to be slaves to work as miners for the resources that they wanted. And throughout time, they've also done some good things, you could say. So, what is the type of at this point? What is the kind of relationship that we are supposed to have? How are we supposed to view them? You know, are they friends? Are they foes? Is it adversarial? What is the relationship
Okay.
between us, the descendants, and them?
Right. The first thing is this us and we, right? Not everybody is tied to the Anunnaki because people will make statements like they made us and we are the no, not everybody. You're dealing with Anunnaki who came at a specific point in time. But when they came, there were already people here, as I keep explaining, that our ancestors, by way of the original beings that came to this planet first upon the Tharu, they evolved. And when the Anunnaki came, they took a primitive worker or that which was already existing and then upgraded it by adding their genetics. And there were many beings during that time that were also creating different beings. And this is where the many experiments were taking place with genetics. And they were trying to, create a being to help them mine the gold because obviously they found the atmosphere and the whole work tedious and they didn't like it. And obviously the brothers Enki and Enlil started to get into, so they got into conflicts and so on. And this is where that same conflict has been going on for generations, and you got two sides constantly fighting each other by way of brothers, And depending on which culture you go to, we can we can see this playing out now. So when people get to know about the Anunnaki story and it's explained that they came and they created primitive worker known as the Lulu Amilu, and then they just give you their story, but and then it ties into the Babylonians and the beings that follow them, and then this is where Abraham comes in because Abraham, with his father Terah, who were really you know, Zoroastrians, they worship, Zoroaster, where the word Astar comes from the word star, and they go into, what they call really sun and moon worship, and that goes all the way into today in religions where you have religions that have a six-pointed star or they have a five-pointed star with a crescent, which both tie into sun and moon worship, ties into Islam and the moon worship and the sun worship, because without the sun, they won't know when to do their salah or prayers, right? But all of that was also taken from ancient Egypt, which actually predates the Sumerians and the Anunnaki. So not everyone on the planet has descendancy with the Anunnaki. And when you say Anunnaki, you have to remember there were different beings. It just describes the beings that Anu sent to Earth in groups of 50s, because that's what the crafts that they came in, the capacity of the amount of people they could carry were 50. So the word Na in the Anunnaki literally means 50. The word Ki or Gi, where you get the word Geo or Gia or Gaia, which everybody refers to as the planet, that's where you get the word Ki. Ki was one of the names of the planet. That's how you get all like your geology and your geography and anything that begins with because Ki was originally QI, but it's also pronounced KI because of phonetics, Ki. So you see Anunnaki spelled Anunaqi or KI. And that the key, QI, became a GE, Gi, became Geo or Gaia, and that was. But the planet has been known by many names: Terra, Ard, Melim and Tamat. Depending on which period of time and how far back you're going, the planet will have different names. So Anunnaki was just dealing with Anu, being of the highest. That's how it's translated that. In the Greek, it's spelled A-N-O, Anu, instead of A-N-U, because again, when you study Semitic or Shemitic languages, you'll find out that the vowels can be interchangeable. So Anu, N-A-A-N-U, sorry, is the the one that was ruler over the Anunnaki or the Most High. And in the Bible in English is also translated as the Most High. So when people get to a point where they learn about these names in the Bible, like God, Yahweh, I don't know, Adonai, etc., they're like, okay, I don't want to use those names no more, so I would just say the Most High. But you ask them, well, who is the Most High? Where did you get that from? It's because of that translation of Anu being the Most High of the Sumerian doctrine. And the Bible are plagiarized from those Anunnaki or Sumerian tablets, the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, and the many Sumerian tablets, and they keep finding more, but not all of them are made public. A lot of them were destroyed during the war on terror in Iraq, because Iraq is ancient Babylon. That's where a lot of this was taking place, and they were finding these tablets and don't want the world to know about the true stories, because it started to give you a clear distinction between the bloodlines and the DNA of, the Sumerians to the biblical texts, and how they've been grafted from these tablets. Like I said, the Enuma Elish, Gilgamesh epics, Atrahasis, and the many Akkadian tablets. But they don't want everyone to know the truth. So what we're saying is, later on, you had, when Enki was on the planet, which is one of the sons of Anu, his brother being Enlil, that really they had the conflicts with. And we can go into detail why they had the conflicts, but this is where he took wives from, Africa, or the beings that were already here. As I said, the original, those Neolithic Pataites that, goes back way past the dynasties that you're taught about in Egypt, going back to those little people. And he mixed in with them and produced offspring. So there are people on the planet who may originate from Enki and his mixture with the original Africans, or these beings that were here way before from Natharu. So you have the seed of the Natharu, you have the seed of the Anunnaki, and then you have other extraterrestrial beings that came and also genetically, grafted beings, and so depends who you are on the planet. When you say we and how we came about, you have to realize the anthropologists, they're trying to figure out where did we all come from, because the biblical account doesn't make sense that there were only two people on the planet, Adam and Eve, and they had children, Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel. There's only supposed to be three people on the planet by this time, if one of them has been unalived. So where do the rest of the people come from? And how do you get the different blood types and the different complexions and the different... So they tried to figure this out. Originally, it was taught that everybody came from Adam and Eve. But with scientific proof, that has been proven wrong. So now they're telling you about, the oldest fossils and the oldest DNAs and who came from where and when they started. And they give you now the three root races, Homo naledi or habilis being the African. Then you get the Denisovan or the Homo florensis, which is dealing with the Caucasians. And then finally you have the Neanderthal or the Cro-Magnon, which deals with the Caucasian. And then you can see how the mixtures produce offspring. And then you have extraterrestrials coming and messing with those beings and producing hybrids of all kinds. And now it's even getting worse with AI and robots and cyborgs and all types of beings on the planet. So It literally depends on who you are, what's your descendancy, and where do you go back to. And you will know pretty much based on who or what you gravitate to. Now, some people end up in the wrong camps. You know, it's like, let's say for simplicity, this camp is for good people, this camp is for bad people. I know you can loosely define good and bad as being subjective, right? But let's just say that's how it was originally. It was peaceful, no chaos, no wars, no fighting, no diseases. And this was known as Nupu, right? The green zone. Then you have beings that come down here and they weren't supposed to, but they came through the gates or the portals, come down here, mix with those beings, produce offspring. Their nature, I'm talking about the Nephilims, or you can call the giants and the beings that came down, mix with those beings, produce an offspring that was now their nature, which was more disagreeable and violent, chaos. And then they tried to separate the two by creating another zone called Zupu, where they were supposed to reside. But again, being disagreeable, they didn't want to be restricted or quarantined. So they started to mix. So you get beings that are not supposed to be. It's like much like today. You might be someone that wants to live peacefully, want to be, in harmony and no problems, no chaos. But then you have other beings that behave and act and live that way. And you don't want to be around them or be amongst them. And, this is what the confusion comes in, because everyone's like in the wrong places or mixed up. So now the time has come again when six ether forces, which deals with disagreeable, wars, killings, murders, chaos, diseases, the list goes on and on and on. They have been ruling for the last 6,000 years up until the year 2000. When we say ruling in whatever form you want to look at it, as in, mentally, etherically, and that's by influence, as in the majority of people being beguiled or following the wrong ways, doing the wrong things, doing things that you're not naturally supposed to do. Because it's like, you ask somebody, why do you drink cow's milk? Are you a cow? They will say no. So why do you drink cow's milk? And you say to them, would you go to a store and buy milk that was labeled human's milk? They'll say no. But you will buy milk that's labeled cow's milk, when cow's milk is for a cow, human milk is for human. That's why your mother breastfeeds you when you're giving birth to, right? So the point being that somebody went out of their way to convince you, and not only convince you, but to go through a process of making cow's milk consumable by humans, purely because they may want to make money or make profit. And now everybody drinks cow's milk. And you say, does that make sense? Make it make sense. And then you try, and then the problems that come along with that. And it had to take a lot of investment and, to make it so. And I can go on, that's just one example. We can go on like the things we put into our body and why we're sold these things, and, what is it? What's the objective behind it? So I'm basically saying that you have to start to learn about the disagreeable side, the six ether forces, and the things you do that don't make sense. And that religion falls into that category: wars, divisions, separations, low vibration, low energy, all of that. Then you got nine ether, which is pulling you the other way up to, know, research, get facts, eat the right foods, meditate, do the things that feed your spiritual being as well as your physical being. Come together, work together in harmony. No chaos, no wars, peace, And it's like that war, if you want to use that term, is being fought within yourself as well. This is what, it's the real true, what they call jihad. It's the war, the internal war between your agreeable, or some would say your positive side, and the disagreeable, the negative side, because now the mixture means that you have both natures. You have the part of Natharu's nature if you're from their seed, but you've been taught all this disagreeableness from the reptilians, the draconians, and the nature of these negative Anunnaki. Remember, Anunnaki is a description, and of, so there are different types of beings that are agreeable and disagreeable. You see, so Wu-Sabat gives you a 9 ether, 9 mind, 9 consciousness doctrine, and if you resonate with it, you're gonna start going, wow, I knew that never made sense. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to now fix up, start doing the right thing. And then you start to resonate, your vibration gets higher, your aura changes. You start to move from the people that are negative or giving you stress and the people you don't want to be around, and so on and so forth. But, don't want to give a sermon, so let's get back to the questions.